Warm-up ends right around now, I would think. I think they're letting him go late because, I mean, it's been so slow. Oh, Genofa. They haven't started top 32 yet. I think they're giving them a little extra practice because all the delays. What's his face? Yeah, Lane's car is sick. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Rudy won. Prospect. Hanson. Oh no. Dean just hit field right before competition. I'm sure that's great.
Essa semana eu me deparei com essa reportagem escrita aqui, ó, que dizia: saiba quanto você precisa ganhar por
I will see you all on the next one.
20 years old today. They came from Tampa, Florida. He's been having multiple surgeries on his lungs. He hasn't traveled since 2017, and it's his birthday today. So I want to give a special shout out to Josh Fables, who's joined us here in the building. And again, just more health issues. Speaking of lungs, our boy Tyler of Coro Works, he's currently in the hospital right now, and he's dealing with some cancer and some other things right now too. So our heart goes out to Tyler as well. But that's how important the Drift family is, right? Yep. So, you know, taking a look at everything that goes down here at Road Atlanta and how it progresses throughout the year. Everybody cheering on their favorite driver from their different region, right? I'm talking the East 10 Drift guys. So, I mean, look at all the regions we go to. Here we are in Atlanta. just 2 weeks, we're in Orlando, Florida, OSW, E-Town, the first ever purpose-built American Drift Coliseum, St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, Washington. I love it up there in Evergreen, Grantsville, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. And guess what? For the 20th year, we finish out in Irwindale. Matt Field, he has something to prove this year. Would you agree with me, Ryan?
I think so. He came so close last season, and I think he wants to make it his season this year.
Yeah, I mean, Irwindale was wacky and wild. Speaking of, you can see Frederick Osbo, who is our defending and 3-time champion. So back-to-back, not in a row like James Dean, who we'll get to in a moment, but he is back as well. But Rome Sharpen's here. Matt Field, he got it done after getting banged up a little bit between him and Osbo. But Matt, like I said, wacky, wild, and wet in Irwindale. It was kind of all signs were saying it was going to be his, but unfortunately, it didn't end up that way.
Yeah, he put the car in all the right places here. You could see in competition in Long Beach, and I don't remember where he qualified here, but I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to do well here as well.
Yeah, you can see Matt Field there, the Momo suit, and just change a lot of change for him. You know, Falcon Tire was in the series for 19 years. They pulled out of Formula Drift competition, so he had to change tire manufacturers and making GT Radio proud. Put him on top of the box. RCP in second, Frederick Osbo third, Jonathan Hurst, the pride of Paducah, gets in fourth, and Ryan Turk in fifth. Another driver have a lot of expectations. So again, Frederick Osbo, Matt Field. Do you think there's a rivalry there? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Is it a rivalry, or is it just like, oh, I want to beat him?
Well, there have been some situations between the two of them, right?
Yeah.
We go back to Long Beach the year prior, and that's where Osbo got into the back of field as he was trying to transition. He ended up destroying his car right there at under the wall, or under the bridge, sorry, on the wall and into the tires. So they have had some situations in the past between the two of them. I've never asked them if there's a rivalry, but if there was one in this series, you'd think those two would have it.
Yeah, it just makes sense given that Long Beach scenario, 23, 22, just back and forth. But overall, again, Matt Field, he has something to prove. Here we are with the RTR team, making sure the Nitto tires are prepped. And that looks like it's at the top of the hill. So changing out some nitrous bottles. That's James Dean's car. So we're talking about all these championships, 3-time championships, all those things considered. James Dean, 3-time, he's back. And he's behind the wheel of another champion's vehicle of Vaughn Gittin Jr. or the RTR team. The captain is back as well. So many things that we can really focus on here.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about where the Formula Drift State of the Union is. Anybody could win.
Yeah, the level of the drivers this year, we've been saying this for a couple of seasons now, you just never know whose game it's going to be coming into an event. We're going to top 32 right now. Every single battle's a question mark. You just don't know what's going to happen. And the drivers that you think are going to do, traditionally have done well, it doesn't mean they're going to do well going forward. There are a lot of amazing top-level drivers in this championship now, and it can go any way whatsoever.
James Dean, he won here in 2017. He got on the podium in 2018-19. He bid adieu, and now he is back. RTR says, Vaughn says, get over here. I got you, bro. So James Dean, Chelsea Nova, they are campaigning their Ford Mustang RTR Spec 5 FDs the entirety of the season, whereas Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Adam LZ are splitting the season. So you got 4 rounds and 4 rounds. So overall, it's going to be an exciting season, this only being round 2. There's how the top 32 driver, the bracket shapes up. You got Vaughn and Robert Thorne. And look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's walk us through what we saw yesterday in our K&N Filters knockout qualifying. And speaking of those drivers, they're going to be joining me and Larry Chen at the K&N Air Filters little halftime chat at the FD podium. If you're here in the building, come join myself, Larry Chen, and some special guests, including quite a few of those drivers on that grid. So let's take a look at our knockout qualifying top 4. Taking a look back there at Matt Field. Matt Field was not in the top 4. He'd love to be there, but it's all about confidence and getting those points, on kind of getting ahead of the pack, right? If you can't win the actually you can win the championship without winning an event. Chris Forsberg did that in his final year, which is absolutely wild. Looking down to this track here, that's what Diego Higa looked back. And I know you have a relationship with Diego. You've been over to Brazil. You've seen him compete. What is Diego Higa's expectations?
Well, his expectations are to do well. He's done well. He's won the championship in Brazil, I think, 5 years running, 5 or 6 years, so maybe even longer than that. So his level of competition there is very high, but of course coming here, he's having to deal with guys like Odi Bakchis right here. This is the third place qualifier, and you can see that Odi is putting his car in all the right places here. Not all the right places. He was a little bit late into the zone, outer zone 2. Outer zone 2 is the most important zone, I think, in this track. It's the hardest one to achieve, and the drivers are going to have to be inch perfect to fill that zone each and every time. So that's Odi Bakchis.
And then Forrest Wang. Forrest Wang is back in Formula Drift. His fans are ravenous. You know, he's the Get Nuts Laboratory lead scientist, the Yellow Speed Racing S chassis. Always has a really cool car, looking still, but it looks even better going sideways. We'll see how he goes into head-to-head, but he's our number 2 qualifier. Did you expect that?
I never know what to expect, Jared.
Just in general, or for Forrest?
No, in general. What was surprising, though, is Vaughn doing so well in a car that he hasn't driven. He wasn't here all of last season. He didn't compete last round. And we were talking about this yesterday. Maybe it's the fact that Vaughn knows he's not competing for a championship right now. He's here to have fun. He's here to disrupt, and he's here to do well on his own terms. He threw down a heater of a run, ended up in first place. I believe it was a
93.33.
93 points.
93.33. Yeah.
So it was an incredible run from him. First run of qualifying, lays down a 93.33, and nobody challenged him the rest of the day. So that was his top qualifying run, and it was a very high-level run. He got some pretty good X Factor points on that one.
Yeah, the X Factor, and the judging criteria, if you didn't follow it on Thursday, it was about 90 points, and the X Factor is about 10 points. So as we take a look here at the overall track, it's hot. You know, we saw some rain yesterday. The forecast right now, it's just going to be smoky as we take a look at our ACT track conditions report, brought to you by ACT, celebrating 30 years of clutch performance. Champions choose ACT. You can see 86 degrees, 30% precipitation, humidity. But guess what? Lorette Nickel is down there with RCP. What's up, Lorette?
Well, this amazing driver got second in Long Beach, and we are in completely different conditions here at Atlanta and Rome. If you wouldn't mind, you have a temperature gun. How hot is the asphalt right now? So you guys are dealing with a lot. Most drivers do have cool suits, not outside of the car, but if you also wouldn't mind showing the ambient temperature of that inside of the car, please. So we're on this right now, pointing at the foot wheel. The coolest spot in the car right now is by the outside door, and it's 135 on the coolest spot in the car. So top temperature in the car is about 152, the cool side is 135. So you guys are dealing with a lot going on. And this drop temperature too is really important because you guys are just now practicing for the first time under the sun. What happens when the sun falls?
What is that? All right, thank you so much, Lorette. As
we saw about 40 degrees of track temperature change in less than an hour, which is a lot of change for us, and the car grips up immediately.
So you have so much that you're dealing with. So what is the setup that you changed for tonight?
So we changed, originally changed the setup to make it looser for qualify with rework. We split out twice, and that was a bad idea. So we're just going to drive through wherever it's going to be space and do the best.
Well, this guy, again, who finished second in Long Beach, hoping for the best here in Atlanta, making a step up. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Lorette Nickel, with our ACT track conditions report, brought to you by ACT. Again, celebrating 30 years of clutch performance. Champions choose ACT. All right, so taking a look at ACT track conditions, let's slide it over to our Torque Drift course preview. Ryan Lantain, if you could walk us through, again, Torque Drift, download it today. But what are we looking at here with the digital version of Jonathan Castro?
Yeah, drivers need to get initiated by that one cone. That means 2 move maximum to get the car to the right amount of angle to get through that first corner to inside clip 1. Run up the hill, full throttle. Decel zone is near the end of outside zone 1, right till about there where the driver should be getting back on throttle as they fill outside zone 2 right out to the edge of the track. We have a box painted there. We want to make sure the drivers are in that box, but all the way to the outside edge of the track. So filling that whole zone in the box. They want to not cut the course as they exit the horseshoe right there. In the video, there's a big, tall, kind of a cone there, an outside zone marker. But in reality, we have a small orange cone just to let drivers know where it is. They need to not run over that corner of the track where the grass is. And then on the way down the hill, they need to maintain momentum. They need to get close to the touch and go. They want to run their front bumper over the rumble strip there, transition the car, get close to inside clip 3, which was inside clip 1 on the way up the hill. So on the way through, they want to finish driver's left all the way through the track with angle. They don't want to straighten up before that finish line.
Yeah, so you kind of want to flow because that could cause an accident too.
Yeah.
So like once you cross that, and also we saw it yesterday with Pro Spec, you do have to finish out because there is a finish line if you don't drift all the way through, and we saw that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was somebody that straightened before the finish.
Yeah,
so.
well, going into the wall. We saw that with
and then
Jeff.
there was the wall, yeah.
There was the wall, the rumble strip, and when you go counter course, the rumble strip will eat you up. That will cut you, man. I'm telling you what. So, again, pretty exciting stuff here at Road Atlanta, celebrating 20 years. It all began in 2004. That keyhole right there, see that little grass raindrop? We call it the horseshoe, the keyhole. We branded it a few different things. It is where the asphalt meets the red signature clay dirt of Road Atlanta. Let's take a look at, speaking of the keyhole, here's a key. Talking about the keys of success, brought to us by a variety of our few different sponsors as we are getting set. The keys to victory, brought to you by K&N.
All right, so the lead driver needs to run as close to a 100-point qualifying run as possible. That means a quick and accurate initiation. They want to get back on the throttle before inside clip 1. Up that hill to outside zone number 1, on throttle. We don't want to see kind of on-off throttle there. It's got to be full throttle planted all the way up the hill. Fill that zone 1, fill zone 2, get themselves back down the hill. That's for the lead car. The chase driver needs to maintain proximity from start to finish. They need to match the lead car's smoke trail. So that means that the back of the cars are on the same line going through the course so that the rear tires are laying rubber in the same spot, more or less. You know, you want to get in the pocket and then stay close to the run, mimic all the transitions, and let that lead driver know they're there.
Let's keep the party going. Here we go. Our first battle, top 32, Vaughn Gittin Jr. Speaking of Vaughn, Gunnar Gittin is in the building. His best friend Delaney turned 6 today, so she's in the building. She's celebrating Vaughn Gittin Jr. because guess what? Old Captain Clutch Kick is back. Formula Drift, he took a year off, but comes back at it with our number 1 qualifier, and he's going against Robert Thorne, a.k.a. the Thorn Dog. Here we go. Your big initiation there from that Monster Energy Nitto tire. Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD. Pulls away from Robert Thorne. Thorne, I was talking to him earlier in the driver's meeting. Vaughn does get into the dirt. He looks a little more brocky than his Ford Mustang. Talking about that Ultra 4 racing that he's been doing with him and his Lauren Healy teammate, RTR. All right, transitioning now back up to the clip. Robert Thorne had such a knockout season in Pro Spec. Do you think it's going to apply here to Pro? I mean, he's going against a 2-time champion, 2010, 2020, and here he comes in. Welcome to Pro. Here's a 2-time champ, Vaughn Gittin Jr.
Yeah, Vaughn gets that car to initiation really nicely, gets by inside clip 1, but Robert Thorne can't hang through turn number 1. You can see he kind of went off course there. Vaughn leaves outside zone 1 a little early, drops a tire as he enters outside zone 2, but gets back online, gets nice and tight on inside clip number 2. Down the hill, Vaughn does a good job of not dropping the tire on the grass, exiting the horseshoe, and has a great line through inside clip number 3 to the finish. You can see there, Thorne was trying to catch up. Vaughn was not trying to get away. Vaughn filled all the zones for the most part, got the car where he needed to be, and did a good job in the lead run. In the chase there, you can see that Robert definitely fell off on initiation and never really caught back up.
He was talking in the driver's meeting, that's what I was trying to get at there during the run, but he says that, you know, obviously with Pro Spec and then going to Pro, he's got more tire, but it just changes going from day to night. But right now, it's obviously clear as day, it's warm, you know, the grip does grip up, so changes throughout the day. Again, a traditional road racer, but now he's looking strong up front. Robert Thorne, Vaughn Gittin Jr. slides to the side of him. Look at that. The intergalactic planetary. Look at that. Looks like a Beastie Boy for sure. Gets to the side of Thorne into that second inside clip. Now outside of that keyhole, rips it around, down back the hill, past that touch and go, and there is the last inside clip. I'll tell you what, Vaughn comes back in spades in that Monster Energy Ford Mustang Nitto tire RTR Spec 5D.
You can tell here that Vaughn's got the faster car as he's coming down to initiation behind Robert Thorne. It's almost like he's holding himself back a bit. On initiation, Vaughn is right there with Thorne. See on the transition, Vaughn gets his car positioned nicely coming up the hill. Slight bobble from Vaughn. He's not going fully deep in zone 1, but he's right there on zone 2. You can see him positioned really nicely. Look at the smoke lines. They're matching up perfectly there. Vaughn does drop a tire leaving the horseshoe, gets on the rumble strip with Robert Thorne. coming through the touch and go area. It drops off ever so slightly as they cross the finish line. But look at this car positioning here from Vaughn coming up the hill. Beautiful job here. Just doesn't go quite as deep as Thorne in outside zone number 1, but does a great job in outside zone 2. You can see his positioning. He never let Robert Thorne get out of his sights until right after this downhill section here. Right on the transition through the smoke, I think Vaughn was blinded right there, and he backed off just a little bit for safety's sake, because we did see somebody transition a little late yesterday and end up in that wall. So I think it was a safe move from Vaughn just to keep himself safe.
Did you expect this? Vaughn Gittin Jr. gets the win. Again, a year off. Man, there's no rust on that weapon of mass destruction. Not on his car, not in his race suit. I mean, he's looking good. The A-Star suit's looking fresh. His wife and kids are in the building. Got the Conklins. I mean, everybody's cheering him on. It's great to see Vaughn Gittin Jr. back here in a Rockstar Energy Drink, top 32. The fun haver, the professional fun haver. Guess what? Brandon Sorensen, 19 years old. Alec Robbins, 31. Taking a look at the stats here, fairly equally matched. A little down in horsepower from Alec Robbins, but we did see Alec Robbins be our number 1 qualifier last year. Brandon Sorensen, I wouldn't say a lot to prove. I think he's gained a lot of interest. You know, United States Air Force supporting him. You know, he's got other sponsors. He's got his whole team. His sister's currently racing Extreme E. We've seen her at Nitro Rallycross. You know, definitely a busy family. But Alec Robbins, he's dedicated to drifting. He wants it. His wife is here in the building. Minnesota driver. Seen him progress through the years from Pro-Am to Pro 2, and obviously now Pro Spec, and then into now Pro. He's really made a name for himself as well. He started on Ford Mustangs, went back to kind of what he's known, more of import stuff, but obviously with the LS under the hood of his 350Z. I think he's a very talented driver. We know he can get it done.
Yes, this, again, could be anybody's battle right now. This should be really fun to watch. And I ran into the younger Sorensen in the yesterday, and he's probably going to be running in his siblings' footsteps very soon, I imagine.
Yeah, he's doing karting. He's doing a lot of side-by-side. So they're a very talented family from Las Vegas, Nevada. Sorensen will lead as Brandon Sorensen qualified 16th. Alec Robbins 17th, fairly equally matched. Brandon Sorensen coming into view. Down the hill, Brandon. Alec a little bit looser there. You saw he slid past Brandon Sorensen. High-flying Sorensen into that second outside zone. Barely gets that front end of that outside zone into inside clip 2. Now transitioning back down the hill. Past that touch and go, and then into inside clip 3. There goes Sorensen and Robbins back up the hill. Sorensen, good execution. Robbins maybe got a little bit lost in the smoke. What are your thoughts there, Ryan?
Well, I'm going to focus a lot on the hesitation that Sorensen had at the top of the hill just before outside zone 2. So as we look at the initiation, you can see that in the chase position there, Robbins had a bit of a hesitation in the lead. Sorensen's doing a great job. At that point, you can see that Robbins fell off a little bit. Right here, it looks like Sorensen was going to go wide after outside zone 1, maybe stayed on throttle a little too long, and his line wasn't perfect going towards outside zone 2, so he had to slow the car down more than he wanted to, and you can see that it hurt his line from the beginning of outside zone 2 to inside clip 2. He got in the box early, but left it immediately, so that's going to be a bit of a detriment to Sorensen's run there, missing outside zone number 2 and having that big hesitation up there. So what does Robbins have to do now? Run a smoother line from zone 1 to zone 2 up here, and that'll give him a huge advantage lead-to-lead comparison.
I mean, you as a judge, is that kind of what you're focusing on? It's so blatantly right in front of you as a judge. Mind you, we're kind of referencing the screen just so the viewer can kind of see what we're talking about if something's off screen, but traditionally they're right there. Is that a place that's really heavily focused on?
Huge, because commitment is key coming up that hill.
Here we go. Alec Robbins out front against the third. You saw a little brown cloud. Now they're going to run up the hill. Let's see if he executes what you're talking about, Ryan. Gets in that first outside zone, into the second outside zone. Boom. He does exactly what you said. Fills about 3/4 of that thing. Tightens it up to inside clip 2. Now exiting out. Really well done there. Brandon Sorensen, you thought he was going to hit the dirt, but it seems like that front left is back. Alex Robbins, I mean, maybe a spotter did a good job. Maybe he just knew already, or instinctively, he just knew what he needed to get done.
Yeah,
that was really well done by Alec.
He did a good job through outside zone 1 and 2. Let's look at it from the drone. That's going to give us a whole different perspective. What I'm looking at now is it looked like Sorensen had a failure to initiate there originally. It took him a long time to get the car to angle. That's going to be a big problem on him for his chase run. You can see Robbins getting all the way up to zone 2. He didn't have to really work the car up there either. He just let it kind of float up the hill because he had momentum built up through outside zone 1, and he used that to fill that zone 2 area, which is is what we want to see. So I think that I'm not able to talk to the judges right now, but I would say that hesitation on initiation is going to hurt Sorensen in the chase-to-chase comparison.
And it bears repeating, Ryan Lontaine, my co-host here, is doing double duty. He is judging, he is announcing alongside Brian Egger and Chris Yule. This year, we have implemented 4 judges, 3 of which are on at the event. The other judge is assisting in the driver's steward duties whenever there's a protest or an issue that needs to be rectified. So, again, our 4 judging panel, 3 will be implemented. Robbie Nishida, Brian Egger, Chris Yule, Ryan Lontaine. This particular round, Chris Yule, Brian Egger, and Ryan Lontaine are 3 judges. Throughout the entirety of the season, Sean Adriano will be, again, the driver steward, conversing with them if any scenarios shall unfold. All right, Rockstar Energy Top 32, Brandon Sorensen, the United States Air Force BMW, does not move on, unfortunately. Alec Robbins gets the win, and I think it came down to that outside zone, too. Ryan, you did a great job elaborating on that. 1 to 2 just did not fill that outside zone too, and Alec just did a better job.
Yeah, that big hesitation is a problem there because you want to be fluid through there. That's an important part of the track, and you don't want to be hesitating and stalling up like that because he did slow down significantly. Even though it is a decel zone, it's not meant for that type of decel, and you could see that it was an error that he made, and he was trying to correct it there.
Some great fans out here, smart fans with the, they don't have fans, but they got umbrellas to keep themselves cool. Kazuya Taguchi, who has just gained so much notoriety from St. Louis in last year, won in St. Louis, a really cool car, the VR, talking about the 86, the BRZ, the FRS, that chassis, going against Jonathan Hurst. Now, you're going to want some earplugs here. The pride of Paducah, Kentucky. This vehicle is loud and proud, but speaking about that of Jonathan Hurst and the cash racing weapon, he has one of the loudest vehicles, but he definitely keeps it cool, as his sponsor here is all about keeping it cool in the garage or wherever you got. He has his own dedicated title sponsor here, there, Mr. Cool, the Mr. Cool BMW, gaining a new title sponsor. Laid over that nice carbon Kevlar kit, but right now Kazuya Taguchi, ISR Performance, up garage, GT Radial 86. Ooh, a little correction there. That was an interesting one. Oh boy! All right, this could get hairy.
I think Kazuya
DB'd it.
See that right rear? I think he DB'd it on initiation, and that's what caused that issue. And he's still trying to get through the course.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a tire.
So Ryan pointed out that Kazuya could have DB'd on initiation, causing the correction, the snapback, and then Jonathan Hurst getting into the side of him, because very uncharacteristic of Kazuya to kind of have that snapback. So let's slow it down. Let's take a look.
It's something that happened yesterday in Prospect too.
Yep.
Somebody initiated too early, hit the edge of the rumble strip, and tore the tire off the wheel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could hear it. So that is, I believe, what happened there. The tire came off, and he lost traction and the ability to get the car moving forward. So see right there, you saw the tire pop off, and right now he has no tire on the right rear. So right there, you can see it flopping around.
Yeah, you can see it flopping.
Yeah, so that'll be on Kazuya Taguchi in that section for making that error. It's not an error he made it personally,
Yeah.
but it's a mechanical issue caused by going off the track on initiation. We tell them they can use the rumble strip, but you don't want to get on the rumble strip until just after it starts, because there's a big divot in the dirt there, and there's a big tall lip where that rumble strip starts. So if you get in there, it'll rip the tire right off the wheel.
And the rules specify that if you DB'd a tire, you can continue on, but it's going to be deemed incomplete as soon as it's DB'd. Basically, a door, a hood, hatch, or a tire DB'd, that's an incomplete. So if you're the lead car, it can stop right there. So Jonathan Hurst is going to have a major, basically, advantage here. But also, what happens now? So basically, Kazuya can get a new tire on, but Hurst could change his tires as well. But he would be at a deficit, or is that done and done?
Well, right now, I think they're analyzing whether or not it's due to, let's say you're out there on the track and you hit the wall and it DB'd your tire. Potentially, you're allowed to change your tire because you made contact with the wall and that's what caused it. But if it comes off just by driving on the track normally without making contact with something out there on the course, like the other car or a wall or something like that, in that case, potentially they could say this is it for you, you're done. Because you cannot change a tire that is debeaded due to just driving on the surface of the track. The
Because
reason
you're aggressive.
the reason we've had that law in place, or that rule, sorry, in place for a while now, is because we don't want people running 5 psi in their tires to increase the grip level, which then causes the tire to debead prematurely, or not prematurely, but just for no reason. Yeah, so we're looking at, it just looks like he didn't even get it at the beginning of the rumble strip. He just did it on the rumble strip itself. So we'll see what happens. The technical are looking at the rule book right now to see if Kazuya Taguchi can change his tire or not. It just depends on the interpretation of the rule, the way it is written. So they're going to get that handled while we look at some fans out in the crowd, Jared.
Oh man, sun's out, guns out, bros. Look at these bros right now, man. Shirts off, just cranking. How we doing out there, bros? You doing good, dude? All right, taking a look. Momentum zone, what's going on? Outside zone. So breaking it down for those new fans. You've seen a few runs. What are you, as a judge, Ryan Lontaine, Brian Egger, Chris Yule, looking for?
Yeah, momentum zone number 1 there, where the beginning of the course is, that is going to be for the drivers to get the cars to speed for the first corner. They're coming down that hill over 100 miles per hour, and they need to get the car down to, what would you say, Jared, 60 miles an hour, maybe 55,
yeah,
something like that?
Yeah, it rapidly slows down.
Yeah, so that's a decel zone right there, and they need to use it smartly.
All right, so we'll find out what goes on with Kazuya Taguchi, but we'll advance on. But let's go down to Laurent Nickel with an update on our current points leader, Matt Field.
Well, as we know, Matt Field qualified 9th, and he battled all day during qualifying and didn't get any good results because he was shredding some belts. The team didn't know what the problem was, but they've made some changes, and now what they fixed.
All right, little technical issue there. Thank you, Laurent. So we'll get some updates there. But Matt Field, so again, having some technical issues, finally dialing in. Is the heat playing a role? I mean, I was talking to Derek Madison. He said the car ran too hot. Yesterday it was cool. Today a lot hotter, but I'd rather take dry, hot conditions than wet and humid conditions that we saw yesterday.
Yeah, the water yesterday on the track was a little bit tricky for the Pro Spec guys during practice, but thankfully it dried up for their competition. Today, just dealing with sun and heat. So at least it's consistent today. I think the drivers are going to have to keep themselves cool as well as the cars. But I think everything's going to at least continue on fairly consistently throughout the day. I can't hear anything, though. Looking there at the RTR pit area as they get their cars ready. What's the next RTR driver up here? Not to the right side of the bracket, maybe.
All right, so
yeah.
That would be opposite. It was yeah. Copy that. Yep. All right, so as we are taking a look, so Kazuya Taguchi, you know what? Let's lay out. Let's figure out what's going on. Get a little check at the temperature. Jared Deenda, Ryan Lontaine. More Formula Drift when we come back. Round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship, the title fight, brought to you by Type S, the official lighting of Formula Drift.
GT Radio. Experience ultra-high performance.
For 30 Formula Drift teams, our professional Tire Stacks crew will mount over 1,000 tires during a weekend to keep our drivers on track, competing at the highest level. TireStacks.com, the official tire service of Formula Drift.
We saw Dean Carney and Matt Field line up in the top 16 in Long Beach. Here we are again in Atlanta. And for Atlanta, Matt Field qualified 9th. He had been battling all day during qualifying. He feels like he didn't get any good results because the belt was shredding. The team didn't know what the problem was, but made some changes, and now the belt is staying for this top 32 battle. What they're blaming is the tensioners. Jared, Ryan?
Some great updates there from Lorette Nickel, our field reporter. Thank you so much, Lorette Nickel. Always a great asset and some great insight on what's going down at the top of the hill or in the hot pits. So thank you so much. Lorette Nickel, rounding out our broadcast team. So we are seeing Jonathan Hurst. So update here, Ryan. What do we dictate here as far as tire debeating? What's going on? What's up?
Well, as I said earlier, they were going to determine whether or not that was that debeating would be allowed to be fixed, and they have determined that it is not because it occurred on track. There was nothing specific that he hit. He was just simply initiating on what we consider the track surface, so he's not allowed to replace that tire, unfortunately. So here is Jonathan Hurst on his bye run.
And this is a great car to lay out and listen to the Mr. Cool Cash Racing BMW. Listen to this thing, pop and bang. Jonathan Hurst makes his way into the top 16. Congratulations, the Royal Purple top 16. Congratulations to, again, Jonathan Hurst. We'll see him up in the mix for top 16. Who's he going to go against? It's either Matt Field or Dean Carney, which should definitely be a fun one. Congratulations to him. Taking a look at the bracket, you can see Von Kett Jr. moved on. Robbins, Hurst will be yellow, Kazuya will be white in a moment. And then we will see Field and Carney. Again, Matt Field qualifying 9th, Dean Carney qualifying 24th. So Matt Field, our current points leader, basically, it's called a defender of the potential crown. Last year, it came down to that final battle at Irwindale. It got wet, it got wild, it got wacky, went into the wall, and essentially, I don't want to say lost the championship, but the championship went away, and eventually was grabbed by Frederick Osbo. If you haven't seen the Lean Customs pin that they're making, they had an ATL flag waving in Matt Field's hand. So shout out to the boys at Lean Customs. Here we go. So we can